Okay, so welcome students. So from today, we will be discussing a new chapter called as root locus analysis. Okay, as I told you in the beginning of frequency response of system, there I told you designing a system is not sufficient. So, okay, say before coming to this statement or discussion, in the beginning class, the first class of control engineering, I told you, I took the example of lifting water from ground level to overhead tank. Lifting water from ground level to overhead tank. It's a simple process. So in every house, you can find this say system where a pump is attached to some nearby sump. There will be a suction pipe. At the end of the pipe, there will be a footwall, and proper pipings are made. Plumbing work is made so that the water will be dropped into overhead tank. Okay, and I took this example and I asked you how the operator will come to know that the overhead tank gets got filled. The operator or the person inside the house, he will come to know only when the tank overhead tank overflows. After filling, after getting filled, then when water comes out from overhead tank, then when he listen to overflow, then he is going to, the operator is going to switch off the pump. In this process, say large amount of power is wasted. Similarly, a very precious resource, water, is wasted. Understood? So the first, as an engineer, you must first think this very simple example, making this system into automatic. I took this example as a first example while explaining this control system. And I told you, for this, you must identify the variables. You must identify the variables. Here, level of water, both in sump and both in overhead tank, is very, very important one. You cannot switch on the pump with empty sump. Sump is the underground tank. Sump is nothing but underground tank. If you dry run the pump, means when there is no water in the sump, so if you switch on the pump will run without water. That's called as dry run. Then in such case, the pump is going to burn because of more heat generated. Understood? Similarly, the pump should switch off when the overhead tank gets filled. So these two are the variables. Remember, these two are the variables. Whenever you make a system into automatic system, you must first identify the variables and you must select some sensors or the devices which develops or which develops certain signals, information about these variables. So attach proximity sensors which can sense the level of water in sump and even in overhead tank. In overhead tank, there must be two levels. Remember, one is filled level. So means when overhead tank gets filled, so that level should be sensed. And when overhead tank gets empty, okay, so that level should also be sensed, because so always overhead tank should be filled. Understood? So these levels should be sensed by using sensors. So these sensors will develop certain, say, signal, and that signal will be sent to a unit called as electronic control unit. In electronic control unit, there will be a microprocessor, and that microprocessor will be programmed either by using 8086 codes or 8085 codes. So nowadays, all processors are with 16-bit, so that is 8086, and some more series of 8086 are available in the market. Okay, so those ECU ICs are programmed by using a kit. properly by electronics engineer. Even the mechanical engineer can also program a microprocessor. Here only you need to manage these variables in a certain say logic equations. Okay, in this way the program is done to the microprocessor, then the system is made into automatic. So in this process, you have used certain sensors. Now, after designing a control system, it is necessary to analyze this system for different input variables. Different input variables. So means the first analysis should be made for frequency. So for what range of frequency the system is going to work in a stable range. Similarly, for what range of intensity, that is gain, initial intensity, that's called as gain, given to the system. So based on these two parameters, the system should be analyzed. There are two techniques which is applied over the control system to conduct the means behavior of stability, to analyze the stability of the system for different range of frequency. Those two methods, one method we learned in the previous class, that is polar plot, and one more method is called as Bode diagram. By drawing Bode diagram, you will come to know whether the system is stable or unstable, and for if it is stable, for what range of frequency the system will be stable. Okay. Similarly, as I told, there is one more parameter which contributes to the stability of the system, which is called as gain. That is K. A constant gain should be always given to electronic circuit. Then only the system is going to work in stable range. Okay. So analysis of the system for varying value of gain is done through root locus technique. Root locus technique. The chapter which you are learning from today's class, from today onwards, is based on root locus technique. Here, a locus is drawn in S plane. S is a Cartesian coordinate system. So where say complex conjugates are represented, actually it is called as Argand diagram. Okay, but other than calling it as Argand diagram, so this word can be used in mathematics. Whereas when that Argand diagram is applied in technical field, so we simply call it as S plane, because here complex conjugate S Laplace constant is represented in the graph in that Cartesian coordinate system. So we call it as S plane. The locus drawn in S plane for an open loop, for a closed loop transfer function, for varying value of frequency, varying value of gain from k equal to 0 to infinity. So that locus is called as root locus. Okay. Introduction about this subject, about this chapter is, after designing any control system, to analyze the stability of the system, there are two major variables which contributes to the stability of the system. One is the frequency, other is of course factor that you learned in transient behavior of the system, transient system response. And one more variable which contributes to the stability of the system is say gain. So keeping gain in mind, constant gain in mind, if you conduct the analysis, if you draw the profile locus in S plane for varying value of gain from k equal to 0 to infinity, so that locus and the technique is called as root locus technique. Definition of root locus is a locus drawn in S plane for a closed loop system. For a closed loop system for varying value of gain from k equal to 0 to infinity is called as root locus. Okay. Now let us discuss about this S plane. I will post you the literature notes in the group. There you can read out. Let us discuss about this S plane. S plane is a simple Cartesian coordinate system used to represent any complex conjugate. So in S-plane, there will be two axes. One will be horizontal axis, which is called as real axis, and other will be vertical axis, that will be called as imaginary axis. Any complex conjugate is represented in S-plane with these two, say, values, that is real part of complex number and say imaginary part of complex number. That basics you know and you learned in say polar plots. Understood? Then about representation of a control system or a transfer function. A general transfer function is represented of a system is represented with zeros and poles, and constant gain k. Constant gain k. General representation of say a transfer function is g of s equal to k into s plus z1 into s plus z2 so on up to s plus zn divided by, okay, it is n plus p1 s plus p2 so on up to s plus pn s plus pm. Okay, any say transfer function can be represented in this form. So in lower, that means in previous chapters, you might have come across with many number of say transfer functions. In each transfer function, you can find factors like this. There may be some factors appearing in the numerator. There may be number of factors appeared in denominator. The factors which appear in the numerator and those factors are called as zeros. They behave differently in S-plane, so they are called as zeros. Normally, they are the terminating points, so they are called as zeros. Okay? The factors which appear in the denominator in every transfer function, they behave indifferently in S-plane in graphical mode. They are normally the originating point of any locus. Okay, so they are called as poles. Okay, so this is the general representation of any transfer function. And remember, the factors which appear in the numerator are called as zeros. The factors which appear in the denominator are called as poles. Then this transfer function is the transfer function of open loop system. Okay, let me take up the introduction of means what you learned in block diagram representation. In block diagram representation of a system or reduction of block diagram, there we discussed any system after say getting mathematical model, we apply Laplace transform for the mathematical model, and further we construct a ratio of output to input considering initial conditions as 0, and that ratio is called as transfer function. That definition we learned and we represented that transfer function in a block diagram with input and output. Okay, then you might have come across with different block diagrams. In a block diagram, in a system, there may be number of subsystems, and each subsystems are represented in block diagram, and combining those subsystems and representing the whole system with input to the system and output from the whole system. Okay, so that is the canonical representation of any system. Our assignment of design engineer is to reduce the whole system into a single block, and that block represents total transfer function of the system. So that total transfer function will be in this form. The G of S, which I have written on the board, represents a open loop transfer function of the system. Open loop transfer function of the system. It contains zeros and poles and a constant term called as gain. Okay. Now, from this open loop transfer function, let us conduct the analysis by assuming that this transfer function is, or this system is subjected to unit negative feedback system. When this open loop transfer function is subjected to unit negative feedback system, that is G of S, when it is subjected to unit negative feedback system, represented in block diagram like this, we get the total transfer function as G of S into H of S equal to G of S divided by 1 plus G of S. Okay, that basic you know, and you used this say reduction technique in block diagram reduction. When a total transfer function of the system, to conduct the analysis, we assume that total transfer function is subjected to unit negative feedback system, and we get a closed loop transfer function as G of S divided by 1 plus G of S. For this system, according to root locus technique, we construct a characteristic equation. We construct a characteristic equation for the system. To get that characteristic equation, we assume that the system is subjected to unit negative feedback system. The denominator 1 plus G of S is called as characteristic equation. 1 plus G of S equal to 0. If you get a polynomial equation in terms of S, that's Laplace constant. Further, it can be called as complex conjugate. Okay. So, considering this denominator as 0, and that polynomial equation is called as characteristic equation. Remember, in root locus technique, to conduct the analysis, to draw the root locus for varying value of gain from k equal to 0 to infinity, we assume that the open loop transfer function is subjected to unit negative feedback system, and the denominator which we get is called as characteristic equation, and we construct characteristic equation by equating the denominator to 0. Then for that characteristic equation, there are 8 standard rules. We apply those rules to draw the root locus in S plane. We draw the root locus in S plane. Okay. So with this introduction about the subject, about the chapter, let us discuss how to draw root locus. So you need to learn first the definition of root locus. Root locus is the locus drawn. See, you cannot find a single locus in the system. There may be number of, say, paths, profiles, locuses. So plural of locus is called as loci. So normally in some of the say explanation, you are supposed to write loci. Other than calling it as root locus, you must call it as root loci. Root locus is a locus drawn in S plane for a closed loop system, for varying value of say gain from 0 to infinity. Okay. Then about knowing about the characteristic equation, about unit negative feedback system, then 8 standard steps in drawing root locus. So let us discuss these 8 standard steps. So methods to draw root locus. Methods to draw root locus. Okay. Now, as we already discussed, any transfer function, open loop transfer function, is represented as G of S equal to k into S plus Z1 into S plus Z2 in the numerator, in the denominator S plus P1 into S plus P2, so on up to S plus Pn. Okay. So in this, so this is the normal representation of, say, any transfer function. From a given transfer function, you need to identify how many zeros and how many poles are present in the system. How many zeros and how many poles are present in the system. Okay. As I told you, the factors which appear in the numerator are called as zeros. In the beginning, you must first check how many factors are present in the numerator. Okay, similarly in the denominator. The factors which are present in the denominators are called as poles. You must identify individual S factors. Okay, so they are called as poles, number of poles. Individual, say, factors, individual S terms. Okay, so let us assume G of S equal to K divided by S into S plus 1. In the denominator, there are two factors. One is S, other is S plus 1. S can also be written as S plus 0. So S plus 0 is one factor, S plus 1 is another factor, and both are appearing in the denominator and they represent poles. So here the number of poles, as I represented in a general form, so poles are generally represented up to m. So here number of poles equal to m equal to 2. In a similar way, if I write the transfer function as s plus 2, s plus 3. So there are two factors in the numerator. They are s plus 2 and s plus 3. So there are two zeros, and zeros are represented as n. Okay. So in first step, you must identify number of poles and number of zeros. And root locus, characteristic of root locus. As I told you, there is not a single root locus. There are a number of locus. Okay, and from each pole, there emerge is root locus. Means here there are two poles. From each pole, there will be one locus. So in S plane, you can find root loci which is equal to number of poles. So with this, let me make a statement. In first step, the first step will be number of loci. Okay. So here you must write a statement. From each pole, there exists one locus. That is, number of poles equal to number of loci. Okay. So at this step, you must first write number of, from given open loop transfer function, number of poles equal to number of 0 equal to. Okay. Then from each pole, there exists one root locus. Therefore, number of loci equal to number of poles, which is equal to, so how many poles exist now, that number you need to write. Okay. Then in the second step, you must identify starting and terminating point. See, subject is very simple if you understand the basics. Let me say, before learning this second step, let me discuss. In polar plot, how we draw polar plot. The steps involved in drawing polar plot are very simple. First step is to convert the given transfer function into, say, complex, frequency domain. Converting the given transfer function into frequency domain by substituting s equal to j omega. Then representing this transfer function into exponential form. This exercise is done to get magnitude equation and phase equation. Then you are supposed to determine starting point and terminating point and intermediate points where the polar plot intersects with different axes. Okay. So similarly, in root locus, in the first step, you will be identifying number of loci, and number of loci equal to number of poles. In the second step, you need to determine starting and terminating points. Okay. Every root locus starts from pole and terminates at 0. So you must write a statement. Remember, this root locus is drawn for varying gain from k equal to 0 to infinity. That statement I have already made in the definition. So every root locus starts from k equal to 0 and terminates at k equal to infinity. So when you substitute k equal to 0 in characteristic equation, those starting points are nothing but the poles. So further you can rectify the statement as every locus starts from pole and terminates at 0. So each factor should be made equal to 0, or you can equate k equal to 0. You can substitute k equal to 0 in characteristic equation and get the starting point. Then substitute k equal to infinity, and the resulting points are zeros. So determine the starting and terminate. You will come to know, you will become familiar when you understand the solving steps of when you solve. When I explain you one example. Okay, right now you try to remember. I will explain the required say basic steps first. There are 8 steps, and all 8 steps are not applicable to all the problems. So few steps are very important to apply to draw root locus. Understood? So those steps I will explain, and with that let me explain one example. Okay. So by substituting k equal to 0 in characteristic equation, you will get starting point. By substituting k equal to infinity, you will be getting terminating point. Okay. Then in the third step, you are supposed to determine asymptotes. Okay. The meaning of this, let us discuss. As I told you, root locus is drawn in S plane. Horizontal axis is called as real axis and vertical axis is called as imaginary axis. You will be locating a pole in S plane. Let us say this is one pole P1. From this pole, locus may start, or locus can be drawn in any direction, in all 360 direction. Is it not? Locus may move in any direction. Okay, we must know in what direction the root locus travels. For that, asymptotes gives us the direction of travel of root locus. So you need to determine in the third step. Understood? Root locus, these asymptotes are nothing but the tangents drawn to root locus at infinity. You will come to know after solving the problem, some of the root locus they terminate at infinity, as we have seen in polar plot. Majority of polar plot, which factor? Yes, with a pole 0. If a pole exists at 0, majority of say root locus they start at infinity, that we have seen in say polar plot. In a similar way, root locus, majority of root locus they terminate at infinity. At infinity, if you draw a tangent, so that those tangents are called as asymptotes. Okay. So if somebody asks you to define asymptotes with respect to root locus, you can define like this: root locus asymptotes are the tangents drawn to root locus at infinity and which gives the direction for the root locus. Okay, which gives the direction for root locus. Understood? Then in this step 3, you are supposed to determine 3 parameters. The first one is number of asymptotes. You will come to know later how number of asymptotes are say calculated. So number of asymptotes are calculated by using a formula which is equal to m minus n, where m is number of poles and n is number of zeros. Okay, if you substitute m value and n value after identifying number of poles and zeros in the first step and substitute in m minus n, that value gives you number of asymptotes. Okay, there may be 2 asymptotes, there may be 3, okay, there may be a single asymptote. So that is totally depends on m and n value, that is number of poles and zeros. Then second parameter which you are supposed to find in third step is centroid. At which point those asymptotes are drawn? From which point those asymptotes are drawn? And the point where the asymptotes say coincide or drawn are called as, that is called as centroid. There is a single point, remember, you will not find number of centroids. Centroid will be a single point. Okay, so that you are supposed to determine in the third step. And in the fourth step, angle of asymptotes. At what angle these asymptotes are drawn? Are they drawn with 0 angle horizontally? Are they drawn with 90 degree vertically, or with any angle, say 180 degree, 280 say 200 degree? Likewise, you will find different angles. So that is the third parameter which you are supposed to determine in asymptotes in third step. Okay, then in the fourth step, you are supposed to determine line segment. Okay, so this is very important one. After locating poles in S plane, we must divide the real axis into different segments. The segment where the root locus exists over the real axis, so those segments are called as line segments. I will explain you how to identify that line segment. The statement you try to remember at this step. Okay, you will be locating zeros and poles over real axis, even over imaginary axis, even in the quadrants, first quadrant, second quadrant, third and fourth quadrant. Okay, you must count number of zeros and poles. Line segment is particularly defined for the real axis. We need to divide the real axis into segments, parts. Segments are the parts. So that in that part, if any root locus exists or not. If any root locus exists in that line, in that axis, part of the axis, line segment, that part is called as locus segment. If no root locus exists, and that part will be called as no locus segment. Okay, in short, it is written as LS for locus segment and NLS for no locus segment. Okay, so in this way, you will be dividing the segment into, say, different parts. And the fifth step is determining breakaway point. Fifth step is determining breakaway point. So there are certain cases where two root locus travel in the same direction, okay, and at particular point they meet and then they emerge in space in quadrant. Okay, so one may be in upward direction and other may be in downward direction along the direction of asymptote. The point where the root locus meet each other and emerge along the asymptote, and that point is called as breakaway point. There is a condition. If you apply the condition, so you can determine that breakaway point. Okay, so after identifying number of points, we must identify one valid point which is lying, one or more valid points which are lying in line segment, locus segment. Okay, so they are the conditions. Then in sixth step, you are determining angle of say departure. At what angle the root locus departs. This is particularly applied for imaginary pole, the pole which lie in the quadrant in the space. Okay, so that is for imaginary pole. So that is angle of departure. So it is normally represented with phi d notation. Then if there are say imaginary zeros which is present in the say transfer function, you need to determine angle of arrival, at what angle the root locus terminates at that say 0. That's called as angle of arrival. That is the 7th step. And in the 8th step, you will be conducting stability analysis by Routh-Hurwitz array, Routh-Hurwitz criteria. Okay, so these are the 8 steps involved in drawing root locus technique. And in the next class, we'll discuss one example, and in that example, we'll come to know how to draw root locus. And remember these 8 steps. What we learned in this, say today's class. So in today's class, we learned about the introduction of root locus, definition of root locus. Okay, characteristic equation, definition of characteristic equation. In that we learned that in root locus technique, we apply root locus technique of stability analysis for unit negative feedback system, that is closed loop system. For closed loop system, the denominator is taken as characteristic equation, and we draw the root locus for varying value of gain from 0 to infinity. If you substitute k equal to 0, the resulting points which you get are the starting points of root locus. When you substitute k equal to infinity, the points which you get are called as zeros, where the root locus loci are going to terminate. Okay, and 8 steps. These are the 4 basic steps, and one last step, means 5th step is also very important one, that is breakaway point, and the 8th step, which is stability analysis. Okay, so in this way, the root locus is conducted, is drawn, and stability analysis is conducted. Okay, in the next class. Anyhow, in the notes, I have shown one example. Just to go through that example and try to see there how the problem are solved. Okay, with these basics, you try to go through that chapter, and then you just means example, and try to identify these basic steps, how they have applied to a simple transfer function. Okay, then we'll discuss about drawing root locus in the next class. Okay, so let me continue in the next class. Thank you. I'm very happy that today more number of students have joined. So this is very important chapter, and student can get complete marks in this say chapter. Similarly in polar plots. Okay, so try to attend the classes in large number, so that will help you students. Understood? Okay, thank you.